All right, so today we're going to learn about using if in our programs. Okay, so if is used so that we can make some decisions inside of our program. And we're going to start inside math and logic again here, and we're going to make a new class just called if statements. If statements. So that should look something like that. And we're going to do this block code, block comment again here. So I'm just going to add that in there. And I'll just say something like, we use if statements to make decisions in our programs. All right, and the basic way that an if statement works is we go if, set of parentheses, some condition, and then some code statement. And so we say this code statement depends on this condition. If the condition is true, the code statement will happen. If the condition is false, the code statement gets skipped. Okay? All right, so we're going to put in some code in here. We're going to go color light equals color dot green. Okay? And then we're going to kind of build this thing up, but we're going to start out and say if light dot equals color dot green, system dot out dot print line cross the road. All right, and all I want to do with this is just demonstrate to you guys what happens when we change the color of the light. So right now light is green, so checking light equal to green should be true. And so when I run this thing, we see that we're going to print out cross the road. Okay? If I change the light to red and I run it again, nothing gets printed out. Okay? So this right here is going to get skipped when this is false. You guys with me so far? Okay. All right, so let's just kind of talk about this some more. Generally, this is not the way that we want to format this, okay? When you look at someone else writing a program or somebody else's code, they probably won't format it this way. Maybe some people will do this way. Generally, what we do is we hit enter, and then this statement, okay, is indented inside here, and it kind of shows us, like the formatting kind of shows us that this is a part of this, okay, that this depends on the if condition up here. All right, so let's kind of add some more stuff onto here. I'm going to hit enter again, and I'm going to go system.out.println. Okay, before I cross the road, I want to look both ways. All right. And then let's go back. I'm going to make the light equal to green again. All right. And when I run this, it says, look both ways, cross the road, which is what we would kind of expect it to be because the color is green. So it's going to do look both ways and then cross the road. All right. If I turn the light back to red, okay, let's see what it prints out this time. So now it still prints out cross the road even though the light is red. All right. So even though it looks like these are both a part of this if because they're both indented, they're not. All right. And the way that I have to fix that is if I want both of these things to happen, I got to add brackets here, French brace there, and a French brace there to group those two things together to be a part of that if. Okay. So up here, I'm going to just change this so that it looks like this. And then I'm going to put in here, use brackets to group code together. All right. So if I go through the same process again here, I know I'm kind of jumping around on you guys, but light is green here. So when the light is green, I still want to look both ways and then cross the road. When the light is red, I don't want it to tell me to cross the road because the light isn't red, or isn't green, I should say. All right. So the next thing we're going to do then is we're going to say, well, what happens when the light isn't green? What if I want to have some instruction to say, like, otherwise do this other thing, right? So the way that we do that in Java is after that if, whatever, this is called a block of code, right? So after that block of code that's associated with the light being green, we can put in what's called an else, okay? And an else tells us what we're going to do when the light isn't green, okay? So in this case, we're going to say system.out.println, and we'll just put in here wait. Okay, so now when light is green, it's going to say look both ways, cross the road. When light is red up here, it's just going to print out wait. Okay, right. So why are we looking both ways? What are we looking for? Cars, right? So let's add a variable up here, right? Let's go int cars, and let's just say that there's 2 cars right now that we can see. 2 cars coming, okay? And so inside of this if then, what we want to do is we want to make another decision. So this is what's called nesting ifs, okay, or nesting decisions. We're going to say if cars equals 0, right? Then cross the road. And so I want you to kind of look up here and see what I'm doing right now. So if cars equals 0, I'm going to go into here and I'm going to tab this in just to kind of show me visually that crossing the road now depends on whether cars is equal to 0. Okay? It also depends on the light being green, but it for sure depends on cars equal to 0 there. Okay? So if I run this again, right now the light is green, I'm sorry, the light is red, and color cars is 2. If I run this again, this is just going to say wait, okay? Because the light is red and it's not green. If I change the light to green and run it again, it's going to say look both ways, but it doesn't say cross the road because cars is 2, that's not equal to 0. You guys following that okay? If I change cars to 0, then we expect it to say look both ways, cross the road. So it's doing this because the light is green. It's doing this because cars equals 0. Okay? Guys, just so that you guys are kind of building up your understanding here, we can also do something like else there and say something like system.out.println, okay? And we'll say don't cross too many cars. All right, and if I put cars back to 2 here and run it again, it says look both ways, don't cross too many cars. All right, so I'm going to put in another little bit of notes here. So use else when we want an alternate set of code. Okay. Then I'm just going to put a little bit of notes in here about else. Okay. Else can only follow an if. So in other words, we can't have an else in there unless we already have an if for it to be the alternate to. Okay. Let's just say a common mistake is using a semicolon after an if. So you say, like, if this condition is true, then people put a semicolon there, okay? So we don't want to do that. All right, there's either nothing there or there's a bracket saying that we have a group of things that are happening if this condition is true. All right, so let's look a little bit more at this example. Let's build this up a little bit. So right now, if I run this again, it says look both ways, don't cross because there's too many cars, right? If I change the color of the light to red here, or let's say it's yellow, okay? Some other color other than green, right? When I run that, it says just wait, okay? But I don't know why I'm waiting. So this says don't cross too many cars. So let's just say I want to add on another system.out.println here, right? And I want to say wait, light is not green. Okay. Now when I run this thing, it says wait, light is not green. So that's good. If I change the light back to green, right, it's going to say look both ways, don't cross too many cars, light is not green. But that's not true, right, because the light is green. So can anybody figure out why that logic is not really working the way I want it to work? Amaya? I'm sorry, David. Sorry, Amaya. I didn't want to just ignore you. You said because cars what? So not quite. What we're asking here is why is this still getting printed out even though this isn't getting printed out? So what were you going to say, Amaya? It's not connected to what? Okay, why isn't it connected? Yeah, exactly. So we can use French braces after an else as well, okay? So if I want to say there's a couple things that I want to do in the else case, all right, I just put French brace after the else, and then I put a French brace enclosing the things that I want to have happen. So now when I run this, it's going to say look both ways, don't cross because there's too many cars, because cars is 2, right? If I change this to red again or whatever, it could be purple, as long as it's not green, okay? It says wait, light is not green. All right, so good. So hopefully that's making a lot of sense for you. I'm going to comment all of this stuff out for now, okay? And if you guys remember, the way you do that is hold down the control key and type a slash, okay? So that comments everything out, and it also uncomments everything that's commented that way, okay? So we can do that. And I just want to point out to you that right here what we're doing is saying basically like the only way that we cross the road is if the light is green and the cars are 0, okay? So we could do that using that ampersand symbol like this. So if light dot equals color dot green, okay, and so that ampersand ampersand cars equals 0. Okay. All right. Then we cross the road. And I could put an else. And we can say something like, wait for something. But we don't really know what we're waiting for, right? We don't know if the light wasn't green, and we don't know if the cars wasn't 0. Turns out in this case that it's going to say wait for something because both of those things are false. If I change this to green up here, still says wait for something. The light is green, we can check that. And cars is 0. Well, nope, cars is 2, so 2 does not equal 0, so that's false, so it's going to do wait for something. If I change this to 0 now it says cross the road. So both of those conditions are true, and so it says cross the road. So I'm going to comment this out again. Again, just Control / there, and then I'm going to do a totally separate example here. So we're going to go double GPA equals 3.2, all right? And then we're going to make some judgment about GPAs. So we're going to say something like, if your GPA is greater than or equal to 3.8, then we're going to print out that that's excellent. Okay. So if we want to make like a chain of reasons, okay, or chain of reasoning, like say, you know, give them different comments for whatever their GPA is, we can put in this else, but we can do kind of a shortcut and put an if right after it, okay? And do something like if GPA is then greater than or equal to 3.5, okay? I'm just going to copy this thing right here and say, that's really good. Okay? And so what this is kind of like a shortcut to saying like, well, there's a couple different things that could happen. If the GPA is 3.8, we're going to say it's excellent. Else means the GPA is not greater than or equal to 3.8, but we still want to check if it's greater than or equal to 3.5. Okay? And then we're just going to continue that chain. So if it's, let's say, greater than or equal to 3.0, I'm going to paste in that system.out.println. I'm going to go, that's pretty good. Okay. Else if GPA is greater than or equal to 2.0, okay, we'll say that's just okay. And then else is saying basically like in all other cases, let's say I've seen better. Okay. So GPA is equal to 3.2. Okay, the way that this is going to work is it's going to go 3.2 greater than or equal to 3.8. That's false, so that reaches the else, and we're going to check right away 3.2 greater than or equal to 3.5. That's false, so it goes to the else. Checks if GPA is greater than or equal to 3.0. That's true, so then it is going to print out pretty good, and it's going to skip the rest of these. Okay, so as soon as it finds one that it does, it just skips the rest of them. Let's run this just to make sure here, and it prints out pretty good. We can chain decisions together using if and then else if, else if. And you don't have to have an else, but you can use an else. You know what I mean? So I don't know how to like better make those notes because we already did the example, but hopefully you get the idea that you can like kind of chain things together in the way that we just saw a second ago.